Three service guys from 3 states come together to tear down 3 washers. Here is what they said.
All right. So guys, we took a look at the machines here. We got them halfway apart at least. So can you guys talk to me just a little bit about the drive systems? And we can see here.
Well, on the Maytag, the drive line, the transmission that agitates it and spins it all right here. This is a splutch clutch design. It's got the plastic planetary gears on the inside. The motor goes here. This is a capacitor, and this is called an actuator. This actually shifts in and out of agitation and spin by the movement of this mechanism. The actuator also reads the speed of the tub as well.
Okay.
Okay, my transmission is going to be very, very similar as to the Maytag. So it's just a sheet metal housing, stamped, have a little bit of lubricant and stuff inside. This is the actuator for GE, same mechanical principle as the Maytag, just a slightly different design. Has the splutch assembly here, so it will raise and lower to engage and disengage for agitate or spin. This is where the motor and everything is housed, and then this one also has a capacitor like that one. It's located in the top panel by the control board that we saw earlier.
I know there is no transmission in this machine, is there?
It's a direct drive design. It's very simple in design. Single pulley, single belt, single shaft. The agitator and the inner tub is one assembly. When it agitates, the tub and the agitator is all one. So you don't have a complicated gear, shifting mechanism, actuators. You don't have any of that in there. The motor turns the pulley, which turns the belt, which moves another pulley, which is connected to one big shaft assembly. That's it. It's almost like a front load washing machine turned over in a vertical state. So you don't have any of those complicated features that can fail.
That's great then.
Yeah, it is.
So the direct drive shaft on those things, it is like the size of a tractor PTO. It is a very, very heavy gauge steel. I don't see any reason why any piece of steel that large would ever go bad.
No, it's impossible. That'll never fail. Yeah, and that's the shaft I was talking to you about. Mm-hmm. And that's connected here. See, this hub assembly, the inner tub connects to it, and the shaft, it's all, when this turns, everything turns. Yeah. Everything turns. So when you're turning this here, the exact same motion's happening down below. Just one big shaft. Like I said, think of a front load washer turned vertical.
So guys, how many other washing machines have you guys seen in all your service careers that have this sort of a setup?
None.
None?
Zero.
Exclusive Speed Queen design.
Very cool.
Sometimes the most simplest things to make is the most complicated to design. That by design that'll go forever.
All right, guys. I think we've pretty much seen everything we can see with them where they're at right now. So why don't we finish taking them apart? We'll take the tubs out, transmissions, get this whole thing broken down, and take a look at the remaining pieces and see what we can learn.
Okay, sounds
good.
Let's
do it.
All right, guys, they're all taken apart now. So let's talk about the drive systems and the bearing assemblies right away.
Okay, so this one, the bearing is pressed into the transmission assembly, and it comes with the tub seal and everything already installed on the transmission. So these are a relatively easy transmission to swap out. You just disassemble everything from the bottom and then drop it down through. So I did take apart the splutch assembly so you guys can kind of get a good up-close look as to how they work. So this is going to attach to the bottom side of the transmission, and then this arm is what actuates up and down to be able to engage and disengage agitation. Yeah, this is just what the bottom side looks like here. So you see it's just metal splines.
All right. And
There really isn't much to say about it because there is no transmission, but he was talking about the shaft on that thing.
Right.
That is a beefy piece of metal right there, eh?
It's a solid piece of steel, and it is. It's just that's the drive line. One shaft to a pulley, and it's got a dual bearing system. You got a bearing here, and then you've got one in the tub as well, right here. So I've got two enormous sized bearings connected to this tripod assembly. That's the drive line. This is it. It doesn't get any more simple than that. You could not make this more simple if you tried. That's it. Speed Queen. Mine is the Maytag, very similar to the GE in design, where the top portion here attached to the agitator, this larger shaft connects to the inner tub. This is the seal and this is the bearing. This is not a serviceable transmission. We cannot take this apart and access it, but what is inside this is gear lube and several plastic planetary gears. Flipping it over, it's the same. We've got the splutch clutch design, where with this shift actuator moves this shifting mechanism, which disengages and engages spin and agitation. And this is one assembly that drops out. It is relatively easy to drop it out once you get the machine flipped over and everything out of the inside. And this is very similar, almost identical to the residential side of what they're putting out. I would almost bet that this exact transmission is what's inside the residential line, not the commercial line.
Same thing with the GE transmission. So as far as I can tell, that is the exact same transmission that they put in all of their transmission drive models. Same thing, not a serviceable part. You can't break them apart and rebuild anything. So if it does go bad, which I have seen quite a few failures in the past, it's a transmission swap out.
Right, and we took this down this far, but inside of a customer's house in a Speed Queen, this is not what we do. This is very common for the Maytags and the GEs, for us to take it down this far, changing it out. Very familiar with that. We don't ever go this far on a Speed Queen.
all right, so guys, tell me, like with the disassembly or the not having to disassemble it this far, why is this going to be important to me as a customer?
Kind of boils down to, again, time is money. So the more in-depth you have to be with this assembly, the longer it's going to take, the more expensive it's going to be. And then also, as far as a technician goes, the more you have to take apart, especially on an older machine, the higher risk you have of potentially damaging something else during the disassembly process.